Hi there, my name is Kay Moon and I'm a twin flame channel and Western astrologer. And this is a video about the new moon in Aries solar eclipse, which is taking place on April 20th of 2023 at 12:12 a.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, please check a time zone converter for your local time. Ooh. Wow, it took a lot to get here. We have been on such a steep uphill climb, or maybe it's a downhill roller coaster around brand new beginnings, bright new beginnings. And this new moon solar eclipse is a piece of that series. I'd almost say it's probably the beginning of the finale taking place in the month of May. But this is the beginning of like act three, like the final act, or like act four of this new beginning era, new beginning chapter. And it is, I have to say, it's been thrilling. The energy's been thrilling. It's been exciting. It's been electric. There's been new crackling in your life and everyone's life around you. And we're going to talk about all of that in a minute. But I just want to say, if you've been really resonating with the content and you're like, okay, yes, I see new unfolding in my life, but I have some questions about it because my stumbling blocks around this have been thus so far in my life, whether it's love or money or business or career, there is space available in my May calendar. Have conversation about how to overcome your particular blocks. Just sign up over at kmoonastro.com and we'll have a look at the blueprint in your chart for your stuck points and how to overcome them. Now, here's our new moon solar eclipse right here in the sign of Aries. We've got the sun, we've got the moon right there, we've got Earth's energy right opposite it. Anytime we have a new moon in astrology, we're talking about a new beginning, and we get a new beginning every month. What we don't get, what's rare, is that new beginning is not always a solar eclipse. That takes it to a heightened level. It amplifies it because solar eclipses portend new beginnings. They create portals for new things to come into our lives. And what we also don't get, and this is also very rare, even rarer, I'd say, is we get two new moons in the same sign at this back to back. That's a rare occurrence. Most often we get one new moon per sign per year, and then we get one full moon per sign per year. For it to be in the same sign, new moon, two new moons, that tells us that life is giving us an opportunity for a fresh new start and a fresh new beginning with all things related to that particular sign in our lives. And so it's important to know what house this particular sign of Aries governs in your chart of the 12 houses, because each of the 12 houses speak to an area of life for you. And so the area that is covering, or the Aries is covering an area of life, that is a piece of where your new beginning is taking place. And the type of new beginning we get with Aries in particular is new identity. It's new personality. It's new sense of self. It's rebirth. It's new action. Aries is the sign of the I am. It's the sign of your personal ambition. It's the sign of your drive, the sign of your passion. It's the sign that deals with your actions that facilitate new beginnings in your life. As the first sign of the zodiac, comes with a bit of rashness, comes with a bit of naivete, but all of that is some of Aries' charm when it comes to the fulfillment of trying new things without feeling hesitant. And so this particular new moon solar eclipse is giving us the opportunity to have new beginnings second time around. Second time's a charm. And this time is definitely amplified because it's a solar eclipse that comes with it. It's such rich, rich, rich energy. And it's further amplified because we have the creation goddess here right opposite the sun moon conjunction in this eclipse. The creation goddess is not always there, and she represents the capacity to call things up out of the ether and place them in the world. We also have Earth opposite the sun moon conjunction, which is normal in an eclipse. And at a new moon, we have Earth featured opposite the sun and the moon. Now, many of you, and we're going to talk about this in the workshop that's coming up on manifestation, many of you are familiar. Students of astrology, you already know what each of the planets represent. They each have a particular vibration, they each have a particular frequency. However, the one planet that's not often talked about is the planet Earth, the one that we sit on. It has its own vibration. It has its own frequency. We know that Pluto deals with our shadow and our fears. It deals with hidden things and secrets. It deals with power and control. We know that Uranus deals with transformation, revolution, and change. We know that Venus deals with love and receptivity and passion. But what's not always presented, and I want you to remember this, is that Earth deals with our capacity to manifest. It deals with our capacity to create. It deals with our capacity to choose. It is a free will zone. It's the capacity to move things from the world of thought and into the world of form. It's the capacity, Earth's frequency is free will, choice, and manifestation. And so with Earth sitting with creation goddess, so they represent much of the same things, highly aspected by this solar eclipse. And look who our friend is sitting nearby. We've got Jupiter, which represents amplification, expansion, growth. All of these sitting together, we have a conversation in play that's talking about new beginnings times 10x, times 20x, times 100x. Literally what you lay your hands to, because Aries talks about action. What you take an action on during this particular time has the capacity to generate amplified returns, amplified growth. This is some of the most fertile ground for creation that we're going to see in a very long time. So hopefully you're making use of this. We've got not just Jupiter there, but we've also got Vesta here, which brings in an energy of commitment and follow through. We've also got Aries here, which is all about taking your seat at the table, not being ignored, not being left out, but claiming your spot. In addition to this, Vesta and Eris, we have these planets, the solar eclipse, in a harsh angle to Pluto called a 90-degree angle called a square. This squaring energy that we've got with Pluto here, it's interesting because we've got this T square with creation goddess and earth up at the top. We've got the sun moon configuration down here at the bottom. And then we've got Pluto interjecting into the conversation at a 90-degree angle. Now, squares aren't necessarily a bad thing, but they do create a tension. They create a necessity for choice. They create the capacity to feel motivated to move in a very particular direction. Now, Pluto is coming to the conversation from the place of the collective, and there's a lot happening in the collective right now. Aquarius, there's a lot of voices, protesting for different things. There's a lot of energy being tossed around. Is it this way? Is it that way? Because there's so much movement going on, things can feel slightly chaotic at any given moment. But when you have the T square, the invitation is to include the sign that's conspicuous in omission. And of the modes, we've got Aquarius occupied, late degree Capricorn. We've got Aquarius, we've got Taurus kind of occupied here. We've got Scorpio kind of occupied here. So what's conspicuous in omission, these are the fixed modes, is Leo. And Leo talks about sovereignty. even if we were to take it from the perspective of the cardinal mode, which has us having occupation in Libra and in Aries and late degree Capricorn, which is pretty much where Pluto's sitting, late degree Capricorn, early degree Aquarius. If we were to include conspicuous and omission, late degree here, Cancer, what we would see is an invitation to emotional congruence, emotional alignment, emotional integrity. That's what Cancer represents, emotional truth. So we have Leo saying, stand up for who you are, stand in your sovereignty. We've got Cancer saying, stand in your emotional truth, your emotional reality about whatever's being triggered for you at this moment in time. And this is how you find your way to your new beginning. It's interesting. I had a conversation with a client this week who's doing exceptionally well at her job by all intents and purposes. You all know that we've been in a very precarious period of time in the workforce, in the labor force. And it would be easy to say no one's immune, that anyone could lose a job at any time. And if you've got one, be grateful to have one. So she's thriving, and she asked me, she's like, I really want to start a business, this other business. What can I do? I feel really blocked. I have the idea, but I'm not taking any action. And so this is my question to all of you who may be in the circumstance that I'm describing, especially because of the way Pluto is igniting this particular new moon solar eclipse and saying, action is a necessity. There's no way around it. If there's something you want to do and you don't see yourself doing it, the question you have to ask yourself is this really aligned for me to do? And that's what this Leo Cancer situation is asking us over here. They're asking us to have a look at, is this really me? And does this feel true? Because at this moment in time, especially the way the creation goddess has been dancing with the South Node for the last little stretch of time, Earth is going to dance with the South Node next. Things that we may have come up with before, ideas, creations from the past. South Node is an exit point. There may be certain things that need to be released at this point, certain creations, things that never came to full fruition. Time to let them go so that bigger dreams can come forward to the table, something that's more aligned, more true, more emotionally congruent. So with this solar eclipse, yes, there's letting go energy. Pluto's a little too featured in order for there to not be. Pluto represents our endings, represents the transformative cycle of moving from death, ending, to afterlife, integration, to rebirth and renewal, new beginning. Because Pluto's just it finished the ending part. It got to the end of Capricorn, and it's now at the new beginning part, the very beginning of Aquarius. There's a rebirthing going on for all of us in terms of who we think we are. Aries deals again with our sense of selfhood. We've got, the whole squad down here. So there's this invitation to rebirth with Aries. What's not happening though, it cannot happen, it cannot be fully fulfilled if someone is holding on to the past. You cannot use your one mouth to speak to your past and your future at the same time. You can communicate and convey one, and my hope is that you choose your future. You choose what's new, choose what's next. That's certainly what this energy is inviting you into. Okay. We also have a sextile to Saturn here from the solar eclipse energy. Let's just clean that. Here's this solar eclipse, and it is sextiling Saturn. 60-degree angle brings benefit if we're willing to take action. Saturn brings commitment and follow through, boundaries and order. It brings structure. But again, the activating energy comes from Aries. Aries is about action. Taking an action will get you all the follow through, all the follow up, all of Saturn's support and benefit. We've got a conjunction to the North Node as well, which is opening up a portal for the universe to really meet you you start taking these actions, you let the universe know that you're for real, that you're serious, that you're congruent, that you're aligned, the universe will start organizing co-creative forces in a moment like this to really support you, with the North Node being a part of this particular eclipse in this way. And we've also got a square to Pallas over here from Cancer, which I really like to see. And this is talking about having a bit of emotional protection and support within ourselves. It's the ability to look within and rally, to call within ourselves that which nobody else sees as true and as real. People may not see that you inside of you, there's a CEO, but you see it. All you have to do in this energy is name it and act on it. People not see that inside of you, there's a singer, there's an actress, there's an actor, but you see it. All you need to do in this energy is act on it, and it will start to come to life. Okay. So, with this, it's really about having that sense of belief in yourself through your behaviors, through your actions. Because in this, what we're getting, like I said, is the movement away from one identity, one set of creations of who we used to be, and into a new set of creations of who we are, a new set of identities. Like I said, this is like expansion on steroids with Jupiter's influence here. Jupiter expands whatever he touches. So if you're saying, hey, I'm ready to get a new house, or I'm ready to move, you may move from a house to a mansion. You may think you're just getting a promotion, going one level up at your job. You may move 4 levels up at your job in this kind of energy. Okay. Like I said, there's a sense of freedom in this. There's a sense of follow through in this. And there's a sense of kind of boundaries in this to make it stick this time. Anything that we take action on during this time can stick. And so for some, because of the way the creation goddess has been dancing with the South Node here, for some of you, this is going to be a moment of resurrected dreams. Things that you previously had to put aside. Maybe your kids were too young. Maybe it wasn't even about the kids. Maybe you got caught up in a health issue that didn't allow you or afford you the opportunity, energy wise, money wise, time wise, to really focus on that dream. Maybe it was a love situation and you had to really work to its natural conclusion before you were emotionally freed up to focus on who you really want to be. Whatever it is, this is a period of time where if you've had a dream in your heart for a long period of time, but there's not been movement on it, you're going to need to confront and ask yourself, have I outgrown this dream? Is this dream still me? Is it really who I am? And if it is how can I in this energy resurrect it? How does it want to come into form now? Based on who I've become, based on where the life is now, who it can help now if it's a business, right? You want to give yourself permission to really look at what it is now and start from now rather than start from where you were before, because this is new, resurrection, but it's new. Okay. I am loving this because what this gives you, especially with the way the nodes of the moon are involved and Uranus is involved as well. In the previous lunations up until this point, we've talked about Uranus's influence with some of the planets. And Uranus is going to be a major game player in the month of May. Uranus deals with the hand of the divine, deals with divine intervention. Uranus deals with cataclysmic change, evolution, revolution, revolt. It deals with things that are moving from, the perfect storm of chaos to the perfect storm of creativity. Uranus can have things change in a person's life overnight. And so Uranus is about to become the star of the show during May and Taurus season, as all of these planets that are here line themselves up to have a conversation with Uranus. Our love planets have already done so, Venus and Juno. But because of the way Uranus is so heavily featured, and there's all this new energy here, and the North Node is involved, what we're talking about is the opening up of new timelines. And because Pluto has been involved, we're also talking about the closing up of old timelines. There's new timeline pathways opening up here. Action is the key, choice is the key, congruence is the big key. Amplification, like I said, of any action taken under this energy can have 10x, 100x yield on returns. This new chapter is both about love and money because of the way we've got Venus. She's been in conversation with Uranus. Pluto is in conversation with this particular solar eclipse, and Pluto deals with what we call other people's money. And this includes grants, loans, credit. It includes debt of any fashion. It includes taxes, tax returns. It includes inheritances. All of these kinds of things. Lottery winnings are Pluto as well. And so the opportunity to kind of pull down money from these external kind of sources, investments, that's also Pluto, is certainly a possibility. New financial beginnings is certainly a possibility in this, moving from making money one way to making money in a different way, closing out one way of working and moving into a new way of working. We had saw that there were a whole bunch of people that got relieved of full-time jobs in the last 90 days. And now Pluto is moving them out of the sign of the corporation. And instead, here's Aquarius, moving them into the sign of working for the people, starting their own businesses, giving them second chances and opportunities to perhaps look at entrepreneurship if that's something they've always wanted to do. This particular season is ripe for it. For those of you who saw yourself leave a corporate entity or a full-time job, and now you're thinking about what to do next, considering what will serve the most people. That's what Aquarius does. It works in service to the people. That's a great way to think about what's your next option. What do you want to do next? Okay. So all rich energy shifts in the way we make money, think about money, shifts in the way we handle money are continuing to go on. And we've seen this. I talked about this, I believe, back at, was it the Virgo full moon or the Pisces new moon? There was, the bank, Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank and a couple of other bank situations that kind of kicked off then. And I talked about how Pluto's movement from Capricorn to Aquarius is shifting the way we deal with money. And so too, this will also be true for you. Like I said, new beginnings in love and in money. The root of it all, the root of all of this, what's kicking up all of this is the way Aries has been so supremely activated all year long. Let me just take you on a quick trip back so you can see why this Aries energy is just so potent and so powerful. I want to take you back to the beginning of the year. We had a conjunction between two planets that we rarely see. It only happens once every 2 years, and it was this in the sign of Aries. There they are, Juno and Jupiter, husband and wife of the zodiac. They only come together roughly once every 7 years, and very rarely in the sign of Aries. So for these two to come together, this is talking about commitment to self, marrying yourself, really doubling down, investing in yourself. This happened back in January in the sign of Aries, conditioning and setting up the sign for everything that's to come next. Then we get into February. We've got a nice little stellium that has started to form in the sign of Aries. Got Juno here, got Jupiter here still. We've got Chiron here still. And Chiron and Jupiter, these two are the rare ones. We don't, Jupiter once every 12 years. I think Chiron's orbit is maybe once every 70 or 80 something years into a sign. Don't take my word for it. I'd have to Google it. But it's enough that we could call it once in a lifetime. It's slow enough we could call it once in a lifetime. Moon got in on the action. We had Vesta, our friend of commitment here, and follow through, dedication here in the action. And this was all in February. Now let's go forward into March. So just 30 days ago. You guys remember how like 30 days ago feels like a lifetime ago, given everything that's happened since then. So here we have Juno and Venus. They have left. They have gone on into Taurus. Aries, Vesta, Moon, Jupiter, Chiron, Mercury's now in the mix, and the Sun has gotten into the mix. This was, oh my gosh, it's not even 30 days ago. It's less than that. 28 days, I believe. And now here we are in the now moment, and we're closing out this Aries new beginning season and moving into the season that has to do with watering the seeds that we've planted in the first 4 months of this year. So this energy is really very rare that we would see so much energy kind of, plowing through the sign of Aries in particular. But when that happens, it lets us know that life is asking us all to more deeply focus on what pieces of ourselves that sign wants us to invest in. And this is just the totality of who you are. Okay. The question at the root of all of this is really, who do you say you are? Because in this, there's an opportunity to rebrand, revision, recreate yourself, rebirth yourself with all of this, as Aries is that sign of spring and first sign of the zodiac. You've completed one cycle in your life. Now we're moving into the next season, the next cycle in your life. And it's, while our words are really important around this, when it comes to getting life's co-creative support, our actions are going to speak louder than our words, right? So, it's some quick and dirty examples. You say you want a relationship, but never putting yourself out there for dates. Always saying, no, that guy's not right. That girl's not into me. Counting yourself out, disqualifying yourself, or disqualifying other people. Either you want to get out there and date or you don't. This is this kind of like piss or get off the pot moment. Put your money where your mouth is, your actions where your words are. Saying that you want to start a business, but after working on weekends, all you do is watch shows or go out with your friends. All talk, but no walk there. You got to walk the talk to get the results. Knowing that you really want to go back to school for something, but you haven't even looked at which schools you can afford if you in the US, or applied or look for school loans. Again, if you live in the US, it is such an ordeal here to get a higher education. So not even looking, right? And you've been saying you want this for years, but you're just not following through. You say that your marriage is done and there's nothing left in it for you, but you've not spoken to your spouse about it. You've talked about it to your BFF, your brother, your sister, your coworker, your therapist, your on the side lover, and anyone else who will listen. You've done all of this, but you've not actually talked to your partner or your spouse and said, look, this is the truth of where I'm at, right? And so that emotional congruence in these examples is missing. It's creating mixed signal to the universe, and it's opening the new chapter with a lot of the old chapter double-mindedness. And that's what you don't want. You want to clean up your double-mindedness so that you're able to move into this new chapter clean, fresh, clear, congruent in action and in language, mind and mouth and behavior. You want to have all three aligned so that you're in a place where the universe is like, oh, okay, that person, they're ready. Let's deliver what they want, and let's deliver it abundantly. Okay. You get the idea. If you want it, act like it. So the universe knows you mean it. And again, congruence is the real key, because mixed words and actions will, in fact, create some real mixed results. Now, I want to give you guys an example of this that I saw play out very recently, as it was a real eye opener to how this energy works. So I'm going to use, a pop culture political example that we're seeing play out, maybe not on the world stage, but certainly on the US stage. So see if you can just, follow along with the storyline, the plot line here. I'm going to do my best to make it clear. So in the world of the United States, in the United States, there has been recent political issue with, I think it was in the state of Tennessee, where certain lawmakers got very uncomfortable with, at their local library, there were these drag queens that were reading children's stories and reading books to kids. First of all, amen. Thank God. Please read to the children, because the children have fallen behind according to all of the standards. But they got uncomfortable with it because they were just uncomfortable with drag. They were uncomfortable with the performativity of drag, the gender bending of drag. They're more comfortable with their gender norms. And so they took action around trying to outlaw this particular thing that's going on. Now, I got curious. I was like, well, this is interesting, whether you support drag queens or you don't, trans people or not, that's not the issue at stake. Just follow along with me. What I'm talking about, so I got very curious. Well, how are people responding to this who are members of this community? What are people saying? So I certainly looked online for a little bit. I was curious about it, but right as this was happening, so too was the finale of the pop culture phenomenon here in the United States called RuPaul's Drag Race, which is a competition around doing the best kind of drag performativeness. And one person gets to win. The winner this season, it was season 15, takes home a $200,000 cash prize. Now, I'm not normally into this show, but this thing around the politics came up. So I got curious about the sociocultural conversation around it. How are people responding? What are people saying? So I started tuning into RuPaul's Drag Race. And here's what I noticed. Here's where I get to the point. If you've stuck with me, here is the point. I watched, and none of this, I don't have the television station for it, but I watched a lot of the stuff on YouTube. You can get the YouTube channel and you can see lots of clips. And so I got to see some of the different, drag artists. The start of the competition, I saw who won. I saw all of the kind of reality show behind the scenes camera conversations that each of the contestants who participated shared about their participation in the competition. This was an eye opener. Here's the deal. There were, I think, like about a little over 10 participants. There was only one winner. And I watched them in their pre-interviews, their during interviews, and I watched them at the end. And there was the one who won. I started to notice a pattern about the way she spoke about the competition, about the show, and about herself. And the one thing I saw consistently from the one who won was that not once, not ever, not even in jest, not even in joking, did she ever put herself down. Not one time, not once. She never made a joke about, like a self-deprecating joke about not being good enough. She never ever said anything against herself. She also never said anything about her competition. When they would get into kind of, guys have all seen reality shows, I'm sure, the kind of like backbitey chit chats after a competition, a mini competition, and start to put each other down. She never participated in that. Now, if somebody brought it to her, she gave it right back. But did she ever initiate? Not once. Negativity did not come out of her mouth, not one time. And to see that throughout the entirety of the series let me know exactly why she won. Her mindset was completely focused on being the best in the room at all times. And when she did open her mouth to say anything, that is precisely what she said. She had a specific tagline that she used in her beginning interview, her end interview, and her middle. Different times they spoke to her, and this was her tagline. It was, "I'm your favorite drag queen's favorite drag queen." Now, talk about putting yourself as number one. Talk about identity. Talk about thinking about and claiming who you want to be before you're actually that person, right? She really laid it out like that consistently throughout the competition. And even in the one competition, there was a competition when they got to the end where it was like the final four. And she says, now, like she won the competition, and then there were three, they ranked them behind her. And she said, the even like the closest I could pinpoint to a self-doubting thought was this. Actually she lost that particular mini competition, and here she goes. She said somebody had something kind of snarky to say about her. She said, "Well, I thought I was killing it." Her opinion of herself was that, maybe your opinion, but I thought I was amazing. And she said that in the competition that she lost. Like, talk about self-confidence, talk about owning it, talk about knowing who you are and where you're meant to be. And another moment, another quote that this woman, her name's Sasha Colby, you can Google her. And this is all stuff on YouTube. You can go find it. One of the things Sasha said was, wow, these girls, I I thought I had it in the bag, but these three are really right. She didn't, she said it in a much more, let's just say pop culture fun way. So I'm going to use some nice PC, YouTube language for you. But she said, I thought I had it in the bag, but these three girls, they were right on my heels. They're right behind me, even in recognizing that she lost one of the competitions. She still puts herself in her consciousness in front of all the other girls. That was an eye opener for me. That was some Aries energy, like on 10. That is how you position yourself for that business that you want to start, for that person that you decided you want to be with, for that house you decide you're putting a bid on, for this job that you're deciding you've gotten a promotion on. You got to think about yourself like that in order to set yourself up to win. Now, of course, there were lots of beautiful things that people had to say about the whole situation in Tennessee here. I had tuned in for that, but in the midst of it, I got some very interesting astrological tidbits about how to work with this energy. She was a walking embodiment of how to own the room, how to own your circumstance, how to own your outcomes. Even before she was crowned number one, she owned that she was number one when she walked into the room, and the way she thought about herself. And she never took opportunity to let negativity come out of her mouth about others or about herself. She may have thought it, but you never heard it. And in so doing, she never offered conflicting consciousness to the universe that would undermine her creation of herself as winning. Okay. And so that was a real eye opener. I hope you stuck with me through that example, because that was really fascinating. Even in the top four, there was another queen, Lux Noir, who she somebody had actually plotted to do something to cause her to lose one of the mini competitions. And in the end, that person ended up getting eliminated, who did the plotting. But in the after interview, here's what Lux Noir says. There was the slightest chance that I could have gone home in that competition, but that completely did not make sense with my fantasy of how this would go. And she goes on to say, I felt it in my heart that I need to be in the finale. I mean, if that doesn't just tell you why she ended up in the finale, and this is how you need to think about yourselves, right? This is how you need to think about whatever it is you're setting yourself up to do in this energy. You need to think about it as there is only one outcome. It's the outcome I'm saying it is, and I'm lining up 100% of my actions, thoughts, and communications to be about that outcome, and no other outcome is even plausible. Only this. And it's in that certainty that then creates all this winningness. And so, what the reason why I bring this up is because throughout the competition, as I was watching these YouTube snippets repeatedly, and I hear this in my sessions so often, repeatedly, I heard, people come in with like mixed ideas about how they wanted things to go, how good they are at what they do, mixed communication about, well, if I win, maybe if it's, the way things are meant to be, if that person chooses me, if, this, if I get approved, or not even the ifing. Sometimes it's just the straight up self-deprecation, sometimes even as humor. This is not the time to joke about being not enough or less than, people. This is not it, because you will get that back tenfold. The universe is taking every word you're saying very seriously right now. Now, this is going to ease up at the end of the Mercury retrograde, and I'm going to talk about Mercury retrograde in one moment. I'm going to give you the dates, et cetera, et cetera. This is going to ease up. But for right now, this is the moment to be conscientious and choosy as all get out about the world you want to live in, the life you want to live, and who you want to be in that movie, who you want to be in that show. Because the girls who were the most self-deprecating on the show, I watched them get eliminated very early on. The girls who were the most confused about, like, it's just nice to be here, and nice to be here was enough. They weren't clear that they wanted to win. Those girls got eliminated next. And it was all in their communication, all in their language. Words create worlds, and it's so important to understand and not use your words very carefully at this moment in time, whether you're speaking them to yourself when you look in the mirror or as you go about your day, or you're speaking them aloud to somebody else. For now, and there's going to be a moment in time where this turns. For now, save your kvetching, save your complaining, save your doubt, save all your rumination. For now, just give it a break. Just leave it alone. Take a break from it. There will be a moment, like I said, we can do all of that. We can go into the story about how hard it all is. Being a light worker, being a twin, being an enlightened person, being on a saint. We can talk about that later. For now, be very conscientious about what you want to be true being the only things that come out of your mouth. And if you can't make them the only things, say nothing. You got friends, all y'all do is commiserate. Take a break. Take a break. Tell them, I'm not talking about that. I'm just taking a break from the topic. Let's change the topic to something else. You got friends, all they do is complain. Take a break. Be like, girl, I am so busy. I'm on a project on work until May 31st. I will get back to you in June. I'm so sorry. I am so busy. I will have to call you back. Take a break, because this is the moment of chapter rewrite for your next chapter, and it's really important to use it consciously. Okay. The other thing that's really critical here, because Aries is so much about passion and drive, and it's about forward movement, momentum, and action. with that Martian energy, because Mars, you see Mars is like, sign is like the starting point, and then it's an arrow. That's the symbol of Mars. It projects out from its current location, because that's what the Aries energy wants to do. Mars is the ruler of Aries. It's really critical to know the answer to the question, what do I want? And be very clear, be very specific about the answer to that question. Okay. Because as things close out, you have the power in your language to say, this is what I want to end, and this is what I want to begin, with that Pluto component. And this new beginning energy there that I've highlighted here in Aries. And it's an extremely potent, powerful, creative time. I cannot stress that enough. So if you know you've got a pattern in the world of creating whatever it is you want, it doesn't have to just be in love, it could be, but if you've got a story that you've repeatedly lived that you'd like to overcome, now is your moment in time to set yourself up with an opportunity to find the pattern, because typically that pattern, if there's a pattern that's presenting itself when it comes to money, the minute I get it, I always lose it. I'm always in debt. I can never pay down my credit cards. Whatever is your previous pattern that you're overcoming, right? If you've got a pattern around like love, where it's like you believe you're not the chosen one, or you believe that rejection is kind of the way your life has gone, or you believe that the minute you're into someone, you're not into them anymore, and you can't figure out why. You just want to be able to settle down, but you feel like you can't settle. This is the moment. This is the moment to have a look at your chart, because the patterning is all there. It's in your natal chart. Depending upon how it's playing out, you could be manifesting it in the shadow, and we can work in your session to highlight the pathway to the light. So whatever it is that you want to put an end to, if you want to know your pathway to getting it in the light, you can book with me over at K-Moon Astro. Like I said, this hyper creative energy is with us until the very end of May. And then at the end of May, we switch into something else. We start working in a different way. So if you need some assistance overcoming patterns that you're really over it with, you want to live a different life, let's have a look at your chart, find your way toward it. And that way you can know what to do with this creative energy to get the best of it. Because everyone who struggles with constantly being in debt, not all of them have the exact same pathway out of that. It really depends on your chart and the way your chart is set up. Everyone who's had the issue of, not making enough money when it comes to their jobs, not all of you have the same reason why that's so in your chart. And so the way out of it is going to be different. The way out of under earning is going to be different for each person. Okay. So the way to set that up is over at kmoonastro.com. Now let's talk about the love pieces, because the love pieces are like loud. So much good stuff in love coming in at this time. We talked about Venus, we talked about Juno at the last full moon and the last new moon, the Libra full moon and the first Aries new moon. Venus here is now in Gemini. She's what we're drawn to. She's what we're attracted to. She's the energy of pull and receptivity. She's beauty. She's love and connection. She's affinity. And then Juno here, as the wife of Jupiter, Juno here deals with commitment. She deals with follow through. Venus may be the muse, but Juno is the wife. Mars may be the boy toy, but Jupiter is the husband. Okay. And so with Juno as wife sitting here with Uranus, for some of you, some of what's going on here is a shift in marital status. Some of you have been proposed to in this season, which has always been exciting to hear about in my sessions. I love that. Some of you have been moved from being married to maybe being separated or divorced. Some of you are getting married in this season, moving from being engaged to married. Some of you are moving in together. Some of you may be having the experience of just a change in relationship status in one format or another. And the change in status is something that makes it quite official because they both sit in the third dimensional sign of Taurus, which deals with the earth realms. It deals with the third dimensional reality. So whatever's going on right now in terms of shifting has, like I said, it has the power to go the distance, but it is also an energy of change that changes the status. It changes the circumstance of a relationship. Okay. And so that's really nice to see. I like to see that going on. There's also an energy here with this Juno and Uranus are sextiling Neptune, and that brings the more spiritual sides of Neptune to the table. So there's more of this like spiritual connection thing that's going on here in love and relationship. Spiritual connections can deepen at this time. There's going to be heightened understanding of the spiritual connection. So that's there as this unfolds. And then we also have this Venus in conversation with Saturn, and that's kind of classic table stakes. It's a square, which can be some tension, but when Venus and Saturn come together, they tend to talk about lasting bond, lasting commitment, some way, somehow, when it comes to love. It tends to talk about integrity and alignment. And so Saturn does like to create separation, but only when the things that it's communicating with are not aligned, undermining integrity, undermining wholeness, undermining you being your best self. That's when Saturn will facilitate separation. So if for some reason there's a separation happening in love right now, understand that it is for the benefit of the planets that are being communicated with, and it's for your benefit in your love life if separation is happening right now. Know that that's the case there. And then we also have Venus talking to Chiron here. Chiron deals with wounds, sensations of not enoughness. Chiron deals with sense of feeling different, sense of feeling unique, sense of feeling like you don't belong, like you don't fit. With Chiron and Venus in conversation in a sextile, there's an opportunity to heal that not enoughness at this time. There's an opportunity to actually, like I was talking about just a moment ago, to name who you are and your outcomes and actually have those things spring to life. Get some of the support you may need to facilitate those outcomes. It might be therapy, it might be coaching, right? Might be hypnotherapy, might be, anything you need in order to start trusting that you're enough and life has love for you. Life loves you and there is love for you in this lifetime. And this is an opportunity that's unfolding for all of us, this healing energy under the light of this new moon solar eclipse. Okay. There's Vesta squaring Pluto. So there's like an end to one committed way of being and a beginning of another with that. So for some, this is like, I'm like a confirmed bachelor. I insist that I will always be a bachelor. That kind of mindset could be coming to an end for some people. Or some people are like, I'll never, ever, ever get remarried. Never. That kind of mindset could be coming to an end for some people with this kind of thing going on with Pluto and Vesta and Saturn and Uranus and, Juno and Uranus. Shifts in mentality, mindset, and approach when it comes to specifically marriage, but yes, also love too, are part of what's going on here. So expect some 180s. If you've been in connection with someone and you thought they were always only ever going to be one way, this is a great time to like feed the highest timeline. Let me just put it like that. This is a great time. If you've been, in a partnership and, you felt like your spouse was just always negative and what you want is just something affirming. Like you want them to be affirmative to you and affirmative to themselves. You want people to be positive in their relationship. this is a great time where you can really call that into existence through your words and your affirmation. Okay. That kind of thing. Okay, so we've got Mars squaring Chiron and Aries. So here's Mars, here's Chiron. Mars governs Aries, the sign where Chiron sits. Chiron again brings forth that double side woundedness and wisdom. Mars being motivation. In a squaring position, it's a double motivation to confront some of the woundedness from the sign of emotional truth. There's a real motivation to look deeper within ourselves at our emotional truths, own those truths, and then create new from them. Like, this may have been true, but this is just not how I want to live. I'm ready to live something new and different. And this is the energy in which something new and different can absolutely get created, where we can go beyond stories of woundedness and I'm so different or I'm left out with that Chiron energy and into walking in the wisdom, the leadership, and the capacity to lead the pack as someone who's different from the pack. Okay. Now, like I said, we got some heavy Mercury retrograde themes coming up here because within 24 hours of this new moon solar eclipse, Mercury begins to move in apparent backward motion from as viewed from Earth. So we'll start to see Mercury move back along the path that Mercury's already progressed. It'll move back to the 5th degree. So right here, speaking with the North Node, again, that North Node is portal point, calls in the new. Mercury will back up to this component. Mercury deals with communication. It deals with thought processes. Mercury deals with messages. It deals with social media, etc. And so during this period of time, things that have popped up in the last 3 weeks during this period of time of Mars retrograde can be revisited. Thoughts, letters, messages, communication, conversations can be revisited for the point of creating greater clarity in the 3rd dimension. So Mars retrograde is a period of time that gives us an opportunity to revisit and refine not Mars retrograde, Mercury retrograde, revisit and refine all things Mercury related. Mercury relates to thoughts, communication, messages, anything dealing with the written or the spoken word. For some of you, this can include contracts as well. This is a great time to fine tooth comb your contracts, to really look at all of the fine print. If you're not normally a contract reader, this is a good time to actually read it. Read the fine print before you sign up for anything. And make sure you're getting your Taurus, which is where the Mars retrograde is happening, your value's worth, your money's worth for anything you invest in during this time. Because things that have get money during Mercury retrograde tend to need a revisit once Mercury goes direct. Let me give you the dates. We've had Mercury in shadow up until Thursday, April 20th. Then Mercury goes retrograde on the 21st through May 14th. After May 14th, then Mercury will move direct again from that 4th degree back to the 15th degree. Mercury will move direct again, and it'll be out of the shadow period as of May 31st. It'll take until May 31st for Mercury to get to that 16th degree. Okay, we call the period that Mercury, once it comes back here and then it goes direct, we call the period between where it stops before it goes direct and the period it started. We call this a shadow period. Okay. So Mercury will get out of the shadow period and go to past that 15th degree to 2 degree 16 on May 14th. So, sorry, May 31st. Geez. So all the way through the end of May, we've got this period of time where we're watching our words, we're watching our thoughts, we're being conscientious about what we choose to express. It's interesting because we've seen the studies now show that the conscious mind doesn't know the difference between an insult to somebody else when it comes out of our mouths and an insult to ourselves. The brain processes them the same way. So really key time to be watchful, mindful with your words. There was a phrase that we got as children here in the United States. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. This is the time in which to thoroughly, really abide by that. It's not the time for argument and disagreement with people. You can disagree quietly. You can not like what they had to say and say, you know what, bless them, move on. Focus on the world you want to create, the people you want to be around. Start carving that out in your consciousness, because this is an opportunity for us as light workers who have this heightened quotient of creatorship ability. This is an opportunity for us to start calling in language the world we're all going to live in next, right? And so if you want a world where people are included, start calling in and speaking to inclusion. Stop focusing on exclusion. If you want a world where, all people get to have, healthcare, all people get to have safe water, safe food, safe schools, start speaking into wouldn't it be nice if, rather than the problem of what it currently is. We're going to get a moment to talk about problems. We got all the rest of the year. Pluto's going to square these nodes, and it's going to be problem city for the good 6 months, latter 6 months of this year. I promise you, you can talk about the problems later. For now, talk about solutions, talk about your dreams, talk about what you want to see happen. Plant those seeds and know that they will come to bear fruit. Okay. That's what I got for you, loves. If you want to book some time with me, I'm over at kmoonastro.com, link below this video. It's always a treat to do this with you. Use your words wisely. All right. Take great care, and bye for now.